Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway. Today I'm reviewing some coaches by Hornby. I haven't reviewed a rake of coaches for absolutely ages, so today I'm going to go for it. Now, you're going to have to bear with me here because this is a bit precarious, but today I am reviewing this stack of Mark III coaches, which admittedly is a bit odd and random, but I haven't reviewed these before and the price was an absolute bargain, so I thought, you know what, let's go for it. So the Mark III coaches were introduced in the mid-1970s and these were intended to be hauled specifically by the Class 43 HSTs. Now there were Mark III coaches that were intended to be hauled by other locomotives and they were known as Mark III's, and you can tell those because they had buffers on the ends. And if you are interested in Mark III's, these are available in model form through Oxford Rail, which is another Hornby brand, so check out Hornby's website if you're interested in those. But anyway, as you can see, these are just Mark III's, not Mark III's, because they don't have buffers. And as you can see, these are in the Midland Pullman livery. And this came about in 2020 when an HST train was painted into this Midland Pullman livery as a bit of a nod to the original blue Pullman trains. And I suspect that Hornby have made a bit of a mess up with this really, because they have produced the Class 43 train pack, of course, but those have sold out now. And in fact, everywhere I've checked, those train packs have sold out. However, there is still a mass of these Mark III coaches in this specific livery that are still in stock. So it looks like Hornby have overestimated the number of coaches that are going to sell to go with those locomotives. And because these coaches are made specifically to run with that specific locomotive, customers aren't likely to be buying these to run them with their other locos and such. And so the price of these at the retailers has been slashed to better than half price. The full RRP for these coaches is £44.99 on Hornby.com, and good luck to them selling them there. Whereas I bought these from Collett's Models of Exmouth for £19.99. Now, unfortunately, Collett's Models managed to sell me stock of these that they didn't have and they had to cancel part of my order. So I had to go to Rails and buy the rest of the rake. And at Rails, these were a little bit less expensive at £19.95. But still, at less than £20 per coach, I thought, you know what, I'm going to get some of these and see what they're like. I don't quite know what I'm going to run these with because I don't have the Class 43 train pack. So that's a bit dumb really, isn't it? But I do have some of the original Midland Pullman trains, so I might be able to couple these up to those. But anyway, let's see what these are like. Let's see if they are worth £45, that's the full price. And let's see if these are any good, because like I say, I've never reviewed a Mark III from Hornby before. So with that, let me carefully get these down and we'll see what they're like. So yeah, quite an interesting situation. Of course, it's quite a precarious thing to have done from a business point of view to produce so many of these high value products. I mean, each of these coaches is worth £45 or so at the full price. And of course, whether or not these sell depends on the Class 43 HST train pack being in stock. And now that those are all gone, I mean, what else can Hornby do other than let these coaches go to the trade for an absolute song? I suppose they could have commissioned another batch of the locomotive train packs, but perhaps there isn't enough of these coaches left over to justify another batch. And even if there was, would there be enough demand in these Midland Pullman trains to justify another large batch of the locomotives? And if not, then they'd be stuck with loads of the locomotives as well as the coaches. So yeah, out these went to the model shops at very bargain basement prices. But anyway, I'm interested to see what these are like. Obviously they're extremely pretty. I do love the blue Pullman livery. So let's take a look at some of these and see what these are like. So we'll start off with this one. And as you can see, as Mark III coaches, these are massive. Much longer than the Mark 1s and 2s that I'm usually looking at on this channel. So anyway, let me show you the end of the box. We're going to go through this quite quickly. So this is our 40169, nice, Midland Pullman Mark III First Class Open Coach, and it's M41108. the 1-to-1 collection. So with that, let's open this up and let's take my first look. Like I say, I don't think I've ever looked at Hornby Mark IIIs before, not in this livery and not in any livery. No instructions with this, but there is a small accessories bag here. And look here, this is awesome. So we've got some dummy knuckle couplers, if you like, which are permanently coupled together. And then we've got some magnetic couplings here, which obviously can be uncoupled as you wish. Really, really nice. Plus, we've got the NEM tension locks pre-fitted to the coaches as well. So in terms of couplings, you've got a lot of options here. You can have permanent, non-permanent, magnetic, tension locks. It's just great. Okay, let's have our first look at this then. What is the paint finish like on these? Obviously, these models are presented in extremely pristine condition. So let's take a closer look. Take the plastic off. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, some lovely detail in the roof here with all of the ribbing, and we've even got these little grab rails which are separately fitted. So yeah, seems like a complex model, doesn't it? Let's lift this up. All right. Yeah, this is a beautiful coach. I mean, this is why I was tempted to go ahead and get these, because they look great, don't they? And I will show you more of the detail up close in just a second. But yeah, it's a gorgeous coach. The livery is great. There's quite a bit of detail to them. I mean, outwardly, they're not that complex in terms of loads of different parts and such. So I suppose £45 is a bit steep of an RRP, but then again, they are large, they are complex in their decoration, and they do seem to be nicely made. But there we go, that is that. Let me move these to one side, and let's have a look at the next coach, which is this one. I think I managed to get each of these as a different product number. So our 40170, this is the next one, Midland Pullman Mark III First Class Open Coach, M41162, the 1-to-1 collection. So this should be the same thing, just with a different number. So we really will do this quickly. Let's see, I'm quite impressed by the couplings. I had heard that Hornby was starting to do the magnetic couplings, but I didn't necessarily realise that they were here in products like this already. So yeah, that is awesome. Quick look at this then. There we go. Look there, and I do love the wheels. Yeah, the grey centres of the wheels here look really, really cool. But yeah, there we have it, the second First Class Open. Okay, moving on. Yeah, like I say, I'm going to go quite quickly with these because I've got a lot of them, and I won't show you each of these up close, don't worry, I'll just pick one, I think. Anyway, end of the box for the next one. This is our 40171 Midland Pullman Mark III First Class Open Coach, another running number there with a 69 on the end, nice. Let's have another look then. I promise you they're not all First Class Opens, but they have been so far. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So yeah, these are literally all the same product, I think, just with different numbers on them, but that's quite nice, obviously, so that you don't have duplication. Obviously quite a risky thing to have done though, to produce so many coaches and risk having the locomotives sell out before them, which has happened. But yeah, there we go, gorgeous, gorgeous coaches. Closer look at these in just a second. Let's move on then, let's see if we can find something else. I've got two more left. All right, the next Mark III, end of the box then. So this one is the next one along, our 40172. It's another First Class Open coach. Blimey, I didn't realise they were all First Class Opens. I thought I'd got a few others. I think I have got a different one. I think there's at least one that is not a First Class Open. I mean, at this point, I'm just holding them in front of the camera because I always do that. But I don't think there's a lot of extra information you'll get, but here it is anyway. Another lovely First Class Open. Okay, is that enough? Yes, it is. Right, one more then. And yeah, I can tell already that this is different. And there is a whole host of these Mark IIIs, by the way. So do check out my affiliate link if you're interested in getting some of these. Perhaps not necessarily in this livery, again, unless you've got the loco, it's a little bit pointless. Anyway, end of the box. This time it is our 40174, couple along in the range. Midland Pullman, and this is the Mark III trailer buffet car. This is where I'd be, and it's M40802, and it is also part of the 1-to-1 collection. Okay, let's have a look at this. So slightly different window layout, and presumably a different interior as well. So let's pull this out. All right, same couplings though. Very nice. And let's have a look at this one. Different roof furniture, I notice as well. Look at that. And these appear to be separately fitted as well. So they must be above the kitchen, I assume. Okay, let's have a look at this one then. Here goes. The buffet. Very lovely. So yeah, totally different body design on this, of course. And there does seem to be some interior detail here, but because the windows are kind of dark, it's really hard to see inside, and also there's no light coming in from the other side because all of these windows have been blanked out. So yeah, very, very interesting coach and a nice bit of variety. But with that, let me grab one of these and we'll take a much closer look at the details, decoration, quality, and also features. So here it is up close and personal for you, the Mark III buffet car by Hornby. And yeah, as you can see, these are beautifully presented models indeed. Very well decorated, and the detail is absolutely fine as well. They are quite basic models though. I mean, detail-wise, that's fine. Outwardly, like I say, the Mark IIIs were not massively complex things, but that should have made these pretty cheap to produce. And so I do think the full price of £45 for these does seem a little bit expensive. And I suggest that Hornby might have done better with these if they had sold them at a slightly more reasonable price. Because then, you know, maybe they might have sold them. Because now they've got a lot of £45 coaches sitting in stock on their website with no locomotive to run them with. And even worse, they've got retailers selling these off for less than £20. Now, if the retailers are selling these to customers for less than £20, what are Hornby selling these to the retailers for? £10? £15? Yeah, something tells me Hornby would have rather sold these directly to you on their website for, I don't know, £35 or £39.99, something like that, than to let them go to the trade for a song. So yeah, I do think these are quite expensive. I mean, look at this buffet. Nothing really in the way of detail along the side of the coach. And the underframe detail is basically non-existent. We've got no detail under the bogies, no detail along the underframe, and because these don't have buffers, we don't even have buffer beams that need to be detailed. They are very basic coaches. We've also got this battery compartment on the bottom. I did pop one of these off a second ago, and no, there is nothing inside there. So while it looks like these models have been set up to have lights put into them, there is no lighting fitted here at all. So again, for your £45, you get unlit coaches. So value for money doesn't seem to be too great at the full price, but for £20, I am obviously more than happy with this. Let's take a look at the decoration then. So yeah, the finish is pretty good on these. A nice satin finish to these. Nothing wrong with that. And there's a lot of printer detail on these coaches. The buffet doesn't have the Pullman lettering and the crest on it. So let's jump to one of the first class opens for that. Yeah, beautiful Pullman lettering, done really nicely. And the crests at either end look fantastic as well. Yeah, nothing wrong with that really. I particularly like the way the buffet cars have been decorated though, because we've got this very subtle printing on the doors here. Look at that, that is a really, really good effect. That's been done excellently. We've got the lining across the top of the bodies here, all done nicely. We've got the danger signs here, which are good little prints. Interesting the way the corridor connectors have been painted. You've got one side white and the other side black. Yeah, it's an interesting bit of design, isn't it? And then of course we've got some of these little detail parts beneath the doors, which are separately fitted and separately painted, and these steps are separately fitted as well. Also, check out the door handles. These are not separately fitted, they are part of the moulding, but they just look wonderful. Very, very high quality decoration. The wheels, here's a closer look at the wheel centres, which have been picked out in the silver/grey. Yeah, that makes those stand out beautifully. And while the inside of the bogies are completely undetailed, the bogies on the outside do look quite complex. I believe most of this detail is just a part of the moulding, but it's obviously a tooling that's been done relatively recently because it all looks good and crisp. The underframe detail from the outside as well looks fine. Obviously nothing here is separately fitted, but the moulding looks absolutely fine. You know, again, for 20 quid, I'm not going to be complaining here. And then we've got the roofs, which of course have this ribbing moulded into them, painted into the grey of course. We have got the little handrails here, which appear to be wire, and they are separately fitted. And this buffet car in particular has quite a bit of roof furniture fitted to it, and all of this is separate as well. So it's not as though there is no complexity to this model by any means. And then the interiors, like I say, they are a little bit hard to get eyes on. It's just the basic interior job with these, which is all they need to be. So decently moulded seats, tables where applicable, and it looks as though we have got some buffet car furniture here. Again, though, that is quite hard to see. In terms of construction, yeah, these are quite light and plasticky models. As you'd expect, they are mostly made out of plastic, and they weigh in at about 165 grams, which is not dreadfully heavy for a coach of this size. But obviously you don't need coaches to be too heavy. As long as they're stable, the weight isn't really a problem, and we will see if these are stable in just a second. Obviously though, Hornby know what they're doing with coaches, so I'd be very surprised if there were any performance issues. In terms of couplings, the ones fitted to the model are the NEM tension locks, as you can see, and these are kinematic, and some of the Hornby kinematics have been a bit dodgy in the past. Some of them have been inclined to get stuck in certain positions and whatnot. Well, fortunately these don't seem to be doing that. All of the ones that I've tested seem to move nice and freely, and they also seem to return to the center nicely as well. So again, hopefully these will all be functional. Looks like they will be. So with that, let me get my 5 coaches down onto the track. I'll see if I can dig out a loco that will look okay with them, and we'll do a bit of a performance test. So here is today's test setup then. I've got the coaches ready to be coupled, and you know, it's crazy, there's only 5 coaches here, yet because they're Mark 3s and they're so long, it actually looks like a massive train. And to haul this stuff, I've got the Triang Blue Pullman units. Not run these for a while, so I suspect this one could be a little bit ropey, but in terms of the colour matching and the way this looks, I think it's actually a pretty good match to these Mark III coaches, well, not strictly prototypical, of course. So first of all, let's talk about how free-rolling these Mark IIIs are, and you can probably get a sense of this because of the fact that I had to blue tack these to the turntable that I was filming them on a second ago. But yeah, sure enough, on the Gordon's Hill rolling test, amazingly free rolling all the way down past the signal box, round the curves at the bottom. Yeah, they're very, very free rolling. Combined with their relative lightweight, this means that your locomotives are going to be able to haul full trains of these. Obviously, a lot of people have not purchased full trains of these, but those that do decide to, obviously will be able to do that and run them all, probably with a single locomotive. But with that, let's back the loco up and let's see how many couplings we get successful. So here we go. Oh. That was a bit quick. Yeah, not got the greatest control over the Triang loco here. But let's pull forwards and let's see how many of them coupled. Oh, look at that. That is all of them. Great. So let's see how it gets on going around the track. So obviously not the smoothest performance in the world, but obviously that's nothing to do with the coaches. That's down to the loco. And I'll forgive her for that because she's quite old. The coaches themselves though, as you see, they've just gone around the second radius curve. They look amazing. And there are no issues even on tight curves like that. Staying on the track and looking absolutely amazing. Yeah, they are beautiful coaches indeed. Yeah, and even though I don't have a lot of locos with which these will look suitable, I'm still really glad I did this because I got 5 coaches here, less than 20 quid a piece. That's just less than £100 for all of these coaches. Yeah, that's definitely not bad, is it? So yeah, beautiful coaches, fantastic performance. Let's send them over a point now and see how they perform on there. Hopefully everything will be fine. Alright, well, I've never backed anything quite like this over these points before, and I recognise it is quite a mean test, but if they all work fine, then all I can do is praise them. So let's open up the points, and I think I'll have to keep this steady, and let's see what happens. Obviously, if the Triang units derail, That doesn't reflect badly on the coaches. And it's a little bit hard to do this smoothly, so I'm cringing away. Oh my goodness. Look at that, absolutely spot on. So I think, well, for me at least, that demonstrates to my satisfaction how reliable these coaches are. If they stay on the track and work as they should under these circumstances, then they always should. Awesome. Right, let's have some ratings. Level of detail then, I've given 4-star. Yeah, on the whole, I think these are beautifully detailed coaches. Now, outwardly they are quite simple, but that's not a criticism of Hornby because the real things are outwardly quite simple. However, what is here is excellent. The decoration is really good. I particularly like the paintwork around the doors. And the roofs are particularly detailed with lots of separate detail, etc. We've also got decent interiors which match the prototypes. Yeah, great looking coaches. The reason these coaches don't get 5-star is because sadly they don't come with any lighting. There are coaches out there now that do come with a lighting package, so it can't get 5 for that reason. Also, the underframe detail is quite basic and unconvincing, particularly where the bogies are concerned. Now, plenty of people rightly say, well, you can't really see the underframe as a model is running, so it doesn't matter too much. And if you agree with that, then yeah, of course, discard this point. But there are models out there that do have massively detailed underframes, and so for me, I can't give these models the same score as I would give to a model like that, when there is objectively more detail on those models. But still 4-star, very nicely detailed. Performance, awesome, cannot fault it, 5-star. Nice and smooth, the couplings worked first time as they should, and they do seem to be staying coupled. No issues around tight curves and no issues across the points either. They stay on the track at all times. So that is a 5-star performance. Oh, and they also are very free rolling. Quality, I've given 4-star. Yeah, generally the build quality is excellent. Even around the separately fitted parts, there's no visible glue or anything like that. And the paint job on these coaches is absolutely on point. Really, really good. They are quite plasticky though, and again, there are other coaches out there which have die-cast chassis, and I think that gives them a better quality feel. So again, just to be fair to models that do have more metal on them, I'm going to knock this down to 4-star just to represent that comparison. But yeah, build quality, fantastic. Value for money then is a bit of a tricky one. I do think, given the relative simplicity of these coaches, that £44.99 is quite expensive at the full price. And it would seem that the public would agree with that sentiment because, judging by how many of these have been left in stock and also slashed in price at the retailers, it seems that more than just a couple of people have chosen not to create full trains of these coaches. But on the plus side, that has led to the massive reductions in price, which have enabled me to buy these for £19.99 or £19.95. At those prices, of course, it's 5-star. At the full RRP, I'd give them 2-star. Yeah, I'd expect a little bit more in terms of lighting and perhaps underframe detail at that high price. But I've split the difference and given them 3.5-star. Yeah, now at the reduced prices, they are perfectly worth the money. Overall then, that is 7.90 out of 10, or a grade of C. Yeah, that's not a bad score really. I think if the price was a little bit more reasonable and they were more up to date in terms of modern features, this would have been much higher. Into the logbook this goes then, and it's quite high up actually. Yeah, 4th place above the 009 De Norwick wagons and below Hornby's TTA tanker. So yeah, now we know Hornby's Mark III's lovely coaches, particularly impressive where performance is concerned. Well, there you have it then folks. Hopefully you enjoyed this look at Hornby's Mark III coaches, and it's been lovely to finally take a look at some of these. And if you are interested in picking some of them up, either in this Midland Pullman livery or in some of the other liveries that Hornby have to offer, and there is a lot of them, then feel free to check out my affiliate links down in the description, where you can see what's available at the moment. For now though, thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please do let me know down in the comments what you think about these. And with that, I'll come back to you again very soon with some more reviews. Alright, thanks again for watching folks. Cheers everybody.